Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. Some huge wins took place yesterday during the primaries across the country, where many America First candidates took home victories against their Rhino counterparts. This has been a fantastic primary season thus far, with President Trump earning many of those victories through his endorsements. And we'll see how this continues to play out, because this stake of the Republican Party is at hand, where the America First faction of it will overtake the Rhino faction of it. This is something we've been working toward for years. And I'm hoping to see more and more rhinos fade away by the wayside. Yeah, lives that we've used them a couple of times. Big win for America. First in Florida. Donald Trump's endorsed candidates keep on winning, and winning with the 2022 midterms quickly approaching. While Florida has been in the news recently as the FBI decided to raid Trump residence, the state also captured the mainstream media as Americans flooded the voter boxes yesterday in the primaries with the 2022 midterms quickly approaching. It seems that Trump-endorsed power continues to draw spectacular results. Most recently, left Representative Liz Cheney saw the power of Trump's endorsement brings as she lost by nearly 40 points when looking at Florida. Trump backed a staggering 19 candidates, and guess what? They all won. Ashley Moody, Jim Patronis, Will Wilton Simpson, Marco Rubio, Matt Gaetz, Neil Dunn, Kat Kamek, which I'm not a supporter of by the way, John Rutherford, Michael Waltz. I do believe she is a rhino in disguise. That's why I think Gus Burla Burb Iraqis, excuse me, Anna Paulina Luna Vern Buchanan, Greg's soon to be Scott Franklin, Brian, Donald's he's awesome, Brian Massmarket, Mario Diaz blocked Carlos Jimenez, and Juan Carlos Bermudez won by 66%. As mentioned above, Trump's most prized win in recent weeks came with Harry Haig missed the feat of Liz Cheney. And of course, we're going to continue to see stacking up wins. Besides, it should be noted, and Trump didn't endorse Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. While DeSantis has been a favor within the GOP for his leadership, to silence from Trump could be an indicator of this future intentions. Both DeSantis and Trump's are favorites when it comes to the 2024 presidential election. So endorsing the governor could hurt the former president later down the road if he runs, but then again, neither DeSantis nor Trump has announced any plans for seeking the White House going against Joe Biden. So we'll see what takes place. I'm sure that Trump will come out and endorse a DeSantis. Once he goes against Charlie Crist, who actually won the Democrat primary here in the state of Florida for governor, and that dude's a absolute lizard. As a chameleon. He used to be the Republican governor and then decided to become a Democrat when he tried to run for Congress. U.S. House Represents. He went down to Lake Branch in Sarasota, somewhere down there, and became a representative of the House as a Democrat, because he couldn't win as a Republican because people understood how opportunistic he actually is. He's a career politician. We don't need more people like that. So I do believe that DeSantis will win the state of Florida for the governorship. I mean, Trump won the state by over 300,000 votes in 2020. That's an indication. Also, Republicans lead Democrats in the state by voter registration by a wide margin now. So again, Florida, fantastic state to be in right now. And we've had a lot of great victories. You gotta continue to keep them rolling. Don't forget to get out there and vote during your primaries. Vote off these rhinos and continue your good fight in the area that you guys are in. And an ultra-conservative group just got a massive $1.6 billion to spend on the midterms, and woke leftists like these illiterates at MSNBC are having a collective meltdown. We're gonna see the details surrounding this unprecedented gift and who it's for. We're gonna see how triggered leftists are freaking out over it all. Alright, gang. Let's dive right in here. There is a bombshell story that just broke. It's being reported by the New York Times and has leftist liberals absolutely freaking out. A conservative organization known as the Marble Freedom Trust just received an absolutely massive donation of $1.6 billion. It's an absolutely unprecedented gift for a political organization. Now this group, the Marble Freedom Trust, is headed by the one and only Leonard A. Leo. Leo is the longtime vice president of the Federalist Society, which is the premier conservative judicial society in the nation that was instrumental in working with President Trump to seat the new conservative Supreme Court majority, Leo, perhaps more than any other person other than Trump and the justices themselves, was responsible for overturning Roe v. Wade. I mean, this guy is the real deal in his new group. The Marble Freedom Trust is dedicated to impacting Congress in a manner comparable to the way they transform the Supreme Court. So this is absolutely huge. This bona fide conservative group has just been empowered beyond anyone's wildest imaginations with $1.6 billion to spend on the midterms. The donor is a Chicago-based electronics manufacturing mogul by the name of Barry Seid. And the New York Times is reporting that it is the single largest contribution ever made to a politically focused nonprofit. The Times is also noting that this billion-dollar gift has clearly cemented Leonard Leo's status as kingmaker in conservative big money politics and clearly gives conservatives a massive monetary advantage in the upcoming midterm races throughout the nation. CNN is reporting that the donation is, quote, stupefying, and by far the single largest known contribution. So this is astonishing stuff. And it's absolutely freaking out the far left, and no one is freaked out more than MSNBC as ultra-left borderline illiterate. Chris Hayes. Here's a bit of what Hayes had to say to his dwindling audience over this. Everyone listen to this. He's ultimately a big part of why we are now seeing enormous unprecedented sums of nearly untraceable money sloshing through our politics. But that's not his own name. He wants the court to roll back all sorts of key rights. He is largely responsible, for instance, for the destruction of the Voting Rights Act and the 2013 Shelby County v. Holder ruling. And if there's one single man, I really mean this sort of aside, I would say from Donald Trump, one single man most responsible for Roe v. Wade being overturned. It's him. It is Leonard Leo. It was his 6 justices whose vetting and nominations and confirmations he all shepherded, who all voted to gut reproductive rights. When you see the news about a 10-year-old forced to flee her state terminate a pregnancy from a rapist, think about Leonard Leo as the man who brought that state of affairs about. He is the guy pulling the strings in the background, and yet, no one really even knows his name. Yeah, this guy Hayes, he's such a blistering hack. The whole 10-year-old rape victim nonsense is so ridiculously and provably fallacious. It's one of the single most poisonous and deleterious deceptions ever to make its way into our political discourse, and Hayes spreads it around like pollen during spring. I mean, he is objectively a very vile person, and as is the whole staff of MSNBC. But as you can see, they are freaking out. They realize that if conservatives have been able to transform our legal system as radically as they have before a gift of $1.6 billion, just imagine what they can do with such a gift. And again, keep in mind, more repugnants like Hayes have absolutely no problem with the dark money, George Soros, Zuckerberg, or Bill Gates. They love ultra-left billionaires. So needless to say, this selective outrage is not going to convince anyone, but in terms of left-wing outrage, Hayes really is just the tip of the iceberg. And woke leftists in the Twitterverse were clearly triggered upon hearing the news of this billion-dollar gift. Brendan Fisher of the organization called it documented, tweeted out, quote, Leonard Leo, the number 3 most powerful person in the world according to Clarence Thomas, now controls an astonishing $1.6 billion that he can use to reshape our political system with his fortune. Leo can maintain and even grow his singular influence in near perpetuity. Far-left activist Lynn Teague tweeted out, quote, Leonard Leo founded the Federalist Society and has already bought the SCOTUS majority. He's made no secret of his fondness for theocracy and oligarchy. So this is not good news. That's right. We're in such good hands with the defenders of democracy like Lynn Teague, who support weaponizing the FBI against her political enemies. That's the textbook definition of democracy right there. And ultra-democrat by the name of Jane Dutra tweeted out Leonard Leo is a dangerous man and one of the founders of the Heritage Foundation, a good reason for there not to be any good zillionaires in our society. Well, wonder what, Jane? I wonder if you've been so vocal in your opposition when it comes to Soros, Zerka Brooks, or Gates. I have my doubts on that one. We can go on and on. Obviously, this is not good news for leftist liberals going into the midterms as a huge boost for the GOP, which even the New York Times is admitting. Okay, even the New York Times recognizes much. They're noting that Leonard Leo's organization can now start funneling hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to all kinds of pro-Republican, pro-conservative campaigns. And this couldn't have come at a better time. And that is because we have to realize that these new ultra-MAGA candidates that are dominating the GOP primaries are not big money getters. And that's because the big money tends to come through the establishment. And that means it comes through the mediation of figures like Mitch McConnell, and the Bushes and the Cheneys and the Mitt Romneys and the like. It comes from the boards and the foundations that don't even really think about who they're giving the money to. Instead, they're concerned more about how the money is given. It's got to be given through the ranks of the old establishment traditional Republican protocols. And so the new ultra-MAGA candidates are having to raise their money outside of those protocols almost entirely by themselves. So they don't have the pearl necklace Rockefeller Country Club donors. Their funds have been shut off by virtue of the establishment mediators like Karl Rove and the Bushes and the Chinese and the like. So the amazing news here is that this $1.6 billion has gone to an organization that had of which letter Leonard Leo has worked very closely with Donald Trump himself. This isn't a Mitch McConnell Mittens Romney Republican. This guy Leonard Leo, he is the real deal. He's a Trumpian. He locked arms with Trump very early on in 2016. He helped him get elected by providing him with a list of names of the conservatives that Trump promised he would consider nominating for the Supreme Court, right? You remember that when he was reading off the names, and that helped galvanize the conservative base for Trump, many of whom are still very weary of supporting him in 2016 because it just weren't trusting in Trump's conservative bona fides. Obviously that concern is gone now. Trump faithfully nominated 3 names from Leonard Leo's list, and has gone down in history as the single most pro-life, pro-constitutional president in our lifetimes. And Leonard Leo was a key, if not the key architect behind that success. And now he's $1 billion richer and ready to transform Congress in a man-caught manner comparable to the ways he helped reshape our brand new conservative Supreme Court. Thank you for watching the video. I wish you a good